Hello, welcome back to another video. As always, there will be vocabulary popping up on the screen with some definitions, and you can find all of the vocabulary and definitions in the description as... I nearly fell over then. Check out all of the vocabulary and definitions in the description of this video. So today I am in Wales. I am in the very west of Wales. So I'm in Pembrokeshire. So this is a farm, and over there you can see, I think you can notice the difference between the colour of the sky and the colour of the sea, but today they are pretty similar. So this is the Atlantic Ocean. Today it is pretty cloudy, but I think the sun is supposed to come out. I think some of the clouds and the mist is supposed to burn off. So hopefully it will disappear and be nice blue skies like this all over. The last few days have been really hot. And by that I mean like 20 degrees. But anyway, it has been bright blue skies for the last 3 days in a row. And I have spent all day outside, all 3 of those days. So I got a little bit sunburnt on the first day. I underestimated how sunny and how hot it was going to be. So I got quite burnt on my neck. I think it's okay now, but I'm just being cautious, just being careful. So I've got this buff around my neck to protect the burnt areas. And I'm wearing a long sleeve because on my left arm here, just above my elbow, I got quite badly burnt yesterday. On Thursday, and yesterday I was wearing a short sleeve t-shirt. So today I just want to make sure it is fully covered up. But the worst of the sunburn was my legs, because I didn't put any sun cream on my legs, which was very silly in hindsight. So I have lathered up the sun cream today. I've put lots and lots of sun cream on, especially on my legs, because they are exposed right now. I'm just walking down this footpath towards the sea, and then I will be going along the coast on the coast path. So let me head a bit further down and I will explain to you why I am in Pembrokeshire. Just look how still this water is. It is absolutely stunning. When water is really flat like this, we can say that it is glassy. The water is glassy. And that is because you can see round the headland that way, it is a lot more exposed. A lot more exposed to the wind. So this whole area of sea, of ocean behind me is very sheltered. I'll add a map on the screen, but it's a lot more protected from the wind. So as you can see, there is a tanker out there, and they're not going anywhere. They have been there for the last few days, and they are just staying here because it is so sheltered and so nice, I think. Okay, so why on earth have I been here in Pembrokeshire? Well, over the last few days, I have been working at a trail running event, a trail running race. Well, they had a few races. The 10K, so 10 kilometers, the half marathon, the marathon, and the ultra marathon. All of their events are in cool, epic coastal locations like this one. And what they do, need to try not to fall over. What they do is they mark the course using different signs and pieces of tape so that the runners know where they are going. But this means that after the race, people have to go around and collect all of the markers, the tape, the signs, and we need to double check that as well, because we don't want to be leaving any rubbish or litter in a beautiful coastal place like this. So right now I am double checking a section of the course. But actually, I need to get a move on because I have been faffing a lot and it is getting quite late already. And I have quite far to walk because my calf is still hurting. So I don't really want to run it. So I'm going to have to hike or power hike. And hopefully I can get round as soon as possible. So if you've been watching my content for a while now, you will know that I spend quite a lot of time in Wales, but only really in Cardiff. So Cardiff is the capital city of Wales, and it's where I went to uni. It's where my girlfriend is currently doing a PhD. So I've lived in Cardiff and I still spend a lot of time in Cardiff. But this is my first time coming so far west, my first time in Pembrokeshire. And the interesting thing about West Wales is that a lot of people still speak Welsh. So my girlfriend, when she was doing her undergraduate, she lived with a girl from Pembrokeshire and she was completely native level English, other than the fact she didn't know some vocabulary. Like she didn't know the months of the year. But everything else was completely native level. You would have absolutely no idea that English wasn't her first language. But of course, that is a very unusual and particular example. But a lot of people don't know that Welsh is a language. So it's quite an old language. It's very, very different. It's very different to English. So it's actually more similar to Scottish Gaelic, Irish Gaelic, and Cornish. So the county where I am from, Cornwall, had a language, but it died about 200 years ago. And Cornish was actually very, very similar to Welsh. And there is somewhere in the north of France as well that I forget the name. I will edit the name of it into the video here. But they have a language as well that is very, very similar to Cornish and Welsh. So in Wales, you will see on all of the signs everywhere, at the side of the road and just in villages, you will see English and Welsh on all of the signs. So it can be a little bit confusing because if it's a big sign with lots of text, it gets very difficult to know which bit to look at because Welsh has a lot of very long and confusing looking words. They have a lot of sounds that we don't have in English, and everywhere you will see this double text, which makes it quite difficult, especially when you're driving and trying to pay attention to the road signs. But despite being able to see the Welsh language everywhere in Wales, not all Welsh people speak Welsh. So in Cardiff, for example, Cardiff is quite close to the English border, and not that many people that grow up in Cardiff speak Welsh. The same with those from Swansea, which is another big city on the south coast of Wales. But particularly in the west and in the north of Wales, they will still speak Welsh. Now, as someone that is passionate about languages, I think that's kind of a shame that a country has its own language, but not everybody is able to speak it. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think the language is actually not dying out, but it's getting smaller and smaller, which is a shame. But I know that the Welsh government are doing a lot. They're putting in a lot of work and effort to try and protect the language and try to preserve the language, because it's an important part of the history, the culture. And like I said, it's kind of just sad if a language dies out. Like Cornish, like I mentioned earlier. It would have been really, really cool if, if there was a language that only really me and my mates from home could speak to each other, and then everybody else in England has no idea what we're talking about. That would be pretty cool. But unfortunately, Cornish died a couple hundred years ago, which is a shame. So I'm really hoping that the Welsh language is protected and preserved, and in the west of Wales, in the north of Wales, wherever they still speak Welsh, that they can continue speaking it for generations and generations to come. Just look how lovely this view is. Incredible. I need to be careful to not go too close to the edge of the cliff, because that is a long way down. This is a pretty cool stone wall. Look at it. Very cool. So I need to come through this gate here. Oh, just push it. That was very simple. It is missing the metal bit that goes into the latch. But a second ago, I found this on the floor, which is the top of an energy gel. So somebody had ripped the top off the energy gel so that they could consume the contents, so that they could drink the energy gel, but they have dropped this top on the floor. And obviously we don't want to be leaving that behind, so that is going in my pocket. Over there in the distance, you can see a church, and that is where I'm going. So I will walk around along the coast path, and then I'm going to be cutting up inland, up that way, and hopefully going back to where I started, somewhere in that direction. And that there is a castle. That's pretty cool. And I always find it very weird looking at a little island like that, because back in the day, thousands and thousands, and I have no idea how long ago, the land was all the way over there, and the sea has destroyed the land, but that rock is very hard rock, very durable rock, so it has not been destroyed by time and the weather and the ocean, and it's still there. But I find it weird to think that the land used to go all the way out to there, and probably even further. Look at this lovely little cove in here. So that is the coastal section of the walk done. Now I will be walking through a lot of fields. I need to do the inland section. Fortunately, there wasn't much for me to pick up, just one bit of tape, the top of the energy gel that I showed you, and this as well. So this just sticks into the ground and tells people where to go. But obviously we don't want to leave that on the course, so I am taking that with me. Here is an example of the Welsh and English signs that I was talking about. So you can see how it gets quite confusing, especially if you are walking and moving quickly and then you look and it's like, too much to read. So please close the gate. I have no idea how to pronounce this. I'm not even going to try. But as you can see, it is very, very different to English. And you can see it here as well. I have found some more tape. So this tape is tied to the barbed wire. We call this barbed wire. So I need to untie the tape and put it in my pocket. Here's some vocabulary for you. So these poles, these big long sticks that you can see that are holding the power lines, the electricity cables. These are called telegraph poles. Telegraph poles. So the footpath goes up some steps here and we reach a stile. So not style spelt with a Y, that is like fashion, that sort of style, but this is spelt with an I. So I need to climb over the stile into the next field. Wow, this field is very beautifully done, actually. I have no clue about anything to do with farming, but this looks stylish, the fashion kind of style. I am back. I am back at the car. So let me show you what I have collected. Here is my rubbish, my personal rubbish. Here is the pack that I was wearing. And then over here is the collection of tape, a little bit of litter I found, the top of the energy gel, and a couple of signs. So I'll keep these in my car until the next event and we can use them again. So now it is time for me to head back to Cardiff. I have got changed. I have changed my shoes. Obviously I've taken my buff off and I have some lunch down here as well. Some very unhealthy lunch, actually. I have 3 mousses, which are very nice, but very unhealthy. And some Wotsits, which are also unhealthy. And then some sandwiches. So some peanut butter and jam sandwiches. And some cheese and salad sandwiches there as well. So not very healthy, but I think I need the calories after this weekend. It's quite late already, but I need to go to Lidl to do a food shop for the week. And I'm quite slow. I like to faff. So hopefully it won't be too late by the time I get back to Cardiff, but I'll need to drop all of my stuff off and the food at Helena's apartment. And then I need to go and park my car and then walk back to her apartment from where I leave my car, which is another 15 or 20 minutes. So lots to do. So I'm going to leave you here. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to look in the description for all of the vocabulary, and I will see you guys in the next video.